Hey, see, it's the HoloNet Marauders program, starring the HoloNet Marauders. Today on the show, the gang will be talking about famed archaeologist Indiana Jones. Hey.
You beat me to it. I was going to do that. You beat me to it. All right, whatever.
So, hey everybody, welcome back to the HoloNet Marauders podcast. If one of you guys can think of a clever name for, I guess HoloNet Marauders. No, what's like a funnier name for this episode we could have? The newspaper Marauders.
One of these books back here is called Indiana Jones and the Sky Pirates.
Oh, there you go.
So we are the. What's the equivalent of the internet in like the 1930s and 40s? It's just like the radio and
the newspaper.
No, the radio was around. So
the Radio Marauders.
Radio.
That's pretty much what HoloNet Marauders is.
Or the airwave
radio was the thing that I
the
thought
airwave Marauders.
The airwave.
Airwave.
The airwave pirates.
Airwave pirates. Now we're going all over the place.
So, as you can tell by our new intro, we are talking about Indiana Jones today, and the reason I said "hey" is because what game is that, Matt?
That is Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine.
Right. Indy, whenever you go around and find items in chests, Indy, he'll say like one thing. He'll be like "Eureka" or like "Hey."
Hey. That's the best one. They get so much mileage out of that one sound clip, and there are some really incredible moments. Like you can crawl under the sight line of enemies, but then you can trigger them with the sound. So the first time we played it, AJ crawled under the sight line of all the enemies. And he found a thing and he picked it up, and then he goes, "Hey!" And everybody just turns and starts unloading on.
I crawled backwards.
So much of that game was just spent literally crawling backwards as Indy.
We're still trying to beat it.
Yep.
It's been like, I don't know. It's been a year.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
We played because we started playing that after we stopped playing Staff of Kings, which we also have to pick back up.
Right.
And we never. How far did we get in Emperor's Tomb? Because we also
like
played that. I don't know why we have 3 indie games going at once instead of just playing.
Because they're amazing. And I never finished Fate of Atlantis, which is arguably the best one.
Arguably,
there's a lot.
It is the best one, story-wise.
It's Fate of Atlantis.
So in case you didn't know, there's not just Indiana Jones movies out there. There's video games and whatnot for people who are listening to this right now. And they're like, hey, aren't you guys a Star Wars podcast, right? Talking about Indiana Jones. That was only like 4 movies. No, there was a lot. There was
a lot of books.
There was a lot.
We won't be talking about those.
No, we won't.
So we talk about the movies for most of this podcast episode, and then we'll be talking about the games a little bit to the most we can, because I haven't beaten all of them. I think Matt's probably beat a couple of them, but
anyway.
Jamie, I'm glad you brought up the Star Wars and indie thing, because I'm curious. Like, obviously they're both Lucasfilm things, and they're the 2 biggest Lucasfilm things. I know there's like Willow and Red Tails, right? And all these other Lucasfilm
Magic and Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
what's that other one? Yeah.
Like I love Star Wars and I love indie. I'm obsessed with Star Wars. I'm not necessarily obsessed with indie as much. I just love those movies, and they're just, some of my favorite movies out there. But I'm curious whether people have that connection of like, oh, I like Star Wars, I also like indie. Like, is that 1 and 1? Like, do those go together?
I think so.
Most people get like an indie fan card in the mail when they become a Star Wars fan, just like automatically.
And Jamie and I
into the club.
Jamie and I were talking about this because we were just watching. Skimming through a couple of the movies before we got on here to freshen up, and I was like, indie is probably generally more watched and liked than Star Wars might be. Like, Star Wars is way bigger, but the common folk probably watches indie's more approachable.
Take your brain out of your head for a second, Matt. The word sci-fi just turns people off immediately sometimes, and so like just seeing something that's an adventure movie, that's something that could have happened on Earth, yeah, sure. I feel like people are like,
I suppose,
in some cases,
weird, right?
You never know. Yeah, weird to think about. But that being said, I'm pretty sure that I watched more Indiana Jones movies as a kid than I ever watched any Star Wars movies, mostly with my grandparents. But AJ pointed that out earlier. He's like, hey, was like an indie movie one of the first movies you watched over Star Wars? And I'm like, now that we think about it, probably. I don't remember. But probably.
I remember you telling me you'd play Legos Lego Indiana Jones a lot.
Yeah, I
So,
played
like,
all of the Lego games like as they like came out with my nephew at the time with my
Oh
nephew.
no, what happened to your nephew?
at
We
the
don't-
Where'd he
time with your
go?
nephew.
We don't play video games anymore. He grew up.
Your strange nephew. Tragic.
But we would play a lot of the Lego games and whatnot, and then I would play Lego Batman like on my computer and whatnot. But I remember playing like Lego Indiana Jones, and it was just such a silly game.
Oh yeah.
Such a silly game, but it
I
was
love
really
the dive Indy could do when you dive and then you land and you immediately press the gun button. You go. He does like the triple shot when you dive. It's great.
I always like the sneaking around in that one more than in the Star Wars games for some reason, but it just looked really
That was one of the
fun.
grunting games, right? They didn't have voice
Yeah.
acting yet in that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's very
They haven't
silly.
made
Hey.
a voice acting Indy game yet.
But
They might.
yeah, like it's funny like you guys always talk about like the personal connections with like growing up with Star Wars, but like the more I like think back on it, I feel like I have more ties to Indiana Jones with my family than with Star Wars.
There you go.
Again, specifically with my grandparents, because I would go to so many movies like with them growing up. Yeah, and they would just like show me a ton of like old movies and like whatnot, and that's like what it always was with them. And I remember we saw Crystal Skull in theaters when it came out. Because fun fact, friends, I grew up in Connecticut, and my grandparents grew up in the New Haven area where they filmed most of like the college scenes
Oh,
in
yeah.
Crystal Skull. So my grandparents are sitting there like, oh, there's that, there's that, there's that, there's this, and they like knew like every like section, even though it's like this fictional college, but it was like
Pretty
something
awesome.
really personal to them. And then
Yale being
I'll
that
get
college in
to
New
it
Haven,
again. Yeah, that
for people that
college.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, old
anyway,
Yale, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was just like really cool to like experience like that like with them and like see it that way. And also like there's just like a history like in my family of like my uncle's like an anthropologist, and so he's like not quite Indiana Jones, but like
That's awesome.
he
I
like
didn't know that.
goes on like mini adventures, not mini adventures. He's a teacher. He actually is like a teacher. But,
Yeah, so is Indy.
no. But so yeah, it's always been something that I've been like more interested in than like Star Wars growing up, and now I'm like head over heels into Star Wars. But Indy was always something that I was like really like into like as a kid, of something that I would like want to like, that's something that's almost like obtainable that you could do. Like you can't go to space really unless like you're really really good at like math and like really good at like science. But if like you like to read and you like maps and like stuff like that, yeah, you could probably become a professor and just look for artifacts and
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all it takes, guys.
it
That's all
seemed
it
more
takes.
obtainable.
Oh.
Or you could be both and be Dr. Afra.
Yeah.
It's
There
true.
you go.
So
And here I am just doing a podcast talking about how I like to read and I like maps.
I like that. I'm with
So,
and Ithorians.
and Thorians. I rolled out my favorite prop I've ever made today. It's the map to El Dorado from The Road to El
Ooh,
Dorado.
I love that. That's awesome.
Not related to Indiana Jones at all, but I figured that would be something that
is.
belongs in a museum.
Cartography right there.
They find El Dorado in the fourth movie.
This is
Akator.
true, actually. Yeah. Anyway.
They find
That
it.
is true. So yeah, I realized I don't really have many like strong memories of Indiana Jones. Like I've always just liked the movies a lot, like a lot. But like we're just watching some of I almost said Dial of Destiny, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah,
I don't
I was
have an
gonna
early
be-
copy of Dial of Destiny
It's gonna be
that
floored.
you know of. So we were just watching that, and I was like, I know I saw this in the theater in 2008, but I don't remember it at all. Like I remember blasting the
Well,
trailer music.
we had to watch through of that together.
Well, I
No,
know,
he
but I'm
means,
thinking
like-
like
he means,
in
like,
my
it-
childhood.
Oh, you
It's
don't
a-
remember watching it in theaters?
Yeah.
Look, Crystal
okay.
Skull was the only movie that's come out so far that we've been alive for when it's
Yeah,
come out.
exactly.
So that's what I mean. Like memories of 2008 going to it.
I have a lot of memories.
I
associated
know
with
Matt would
it.
have a memory.
I have plenty of memories. You know, going to see Indy in 2008 definitely is a memory. I had this big Indiana Jones encyclopedia that I would just like thumb through just constantly, just everything. And it had stuff from the fourth movie. So they were talking about Mutt Williams and they were talking about, you know, Akator and Peru and all this. I was really obsessed with it. And then, you know, took a back seat for a while after 2008. But I discovered that Temple of Doom was my favorite movie. It still is, shortly after. And then in 2015, I did what I do best. I created a hyperfixation on Indiana Jones that
God.
summer.
What caused it?
I think it was the news that we were getting a new Indiana Jones movie in 2019. Was the announcement that a new Indiana Jones movie was being produced, Steven Spielberg directing. It's arriving in 2019. And I said, actually,
Everything you just said was wrong.
yeah, it might have been 2018, I think, originally. But whatever the case was, that was like a little switch in my brain just flipped. And shortly after, I went to Disney World, and at MGM, or sorry, Disney Hollywood Studios, they have an indie store. And when I walked in, I saw all these.
Do they still have that? Is there really an indie
Yeah.
store?
Yeah.
There's a little indie store. It was
And you
closed
even-
when we were there last time, but it just recently reopened.
With
and
the
I
indie bar.
I found all of these books, and I bought all of these books, and I carried them around with me for the rest of the day. We went to the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, and I'm sitting there with all these books in my lap, going, "Oh my god, this is it! I've like, reached peak Nirvana indie fan like right now, like in this moment." I was like geeking out.
I have a question. Do they still offer, if you buy stuff in the parks and you're staying on property, like they'll send your stuff to your room?
Yeah, but I didn't have that option, I don't think, at the time, and I don't remember why. Or I didn't.
You didn't want them to leave your site. You're
That's
like, these
true.
aren't. You tuck them in your bag like Indy would tuck like the stones
Yeah,
away or
it's
something.
Matt's sitting there just like,
There were like 20 of them, so it was quite a lot. And then that night,
that's a lot.
I decided to crack open one of them, the Philosopher's Stone.
Crack open a cold one
Crack open a cold
with
one.
Indy.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. I put because we had a hot tub in my room, and I had the hot tub room. So I put the hot tub on,
Hey,
climbed in with the Philosopher's Stone, and I boiled myself alive and got
Time to get to work.
dehydrated because I wasn't paying attention to how hot the water was, and I was reading the book, and I sincerely like almost killed myself that night.
you Kali Mod yourself.
Yeah, dude, legit, that was me. Reading Indy as I'm
face
getting
down
lowered
into
into
the
the
hot
friggin'
tub.
lava. That was me, dude. I'm not even kidding.
Oh my goodness.
Ever since then, and for my 21st birthday, my first legal drink was at Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar.
Which I didn't know existed until like a month ago when you told me you went.
Yeah, I had the Cool-Headed Monkey, which has like pineapple juice and something in vodka, something else. It was good. But the thing that I loved was the menus. The menus were awesome. They were chock full of indie references. I'm not even kidding. They had like a ton of just like those little like blink and you miss it things from not even the movies, but like this comic, which is the last thing that's ever come out until this movie. This came out in 2012. We haven't had a single new piece of indie content since 2012. They had multiple references to this comic in the menu, and I blew my mind. Went back there in May when we went to Disney. No more menus.
Of this year?
What do you mean no more menus?
They don't have menus anymore.
Is it like
just,
the
like, on your
QR
phone?
code?
Yeah.
No
And they
don't have
references in the
reference?
code?
No. It's devastating. Although really cool. I don't know if they had it at the time when I had my first drink in 2016, but they do now. They have coasters from the South Sea Club, which is a club from the movie The Rocketeer, which just makes me like giddy. The Rocketeer is like an honorary indie movie to a lot of people, including me, for sure.
Really?
I love The Rocketeer, but we're not talking about The Rocketeer. We're talking about indie. So,
so, with all that being said, let's start with our first film here. The year's 1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark, which probably is my favorite indie movie. It always switches with Last Crusade for me, but yeah, I don't know. This one's just magic for me. I feel like it's the most filmy of the films. If you know what I mean. You guys know what I mean.
I know.
I don't know if the listeners know what I mean, but
well, yeah,
because they can't see the hand gesture you did. It's like the artsy, like almost Italian hand gesture. You gotta like hold it out, like. It's hard.
But like they knew they had to probably start out strong with this one, and yeah, the first of the franchise. Star Wars had been doing well. I think both A New Hope and Empire are out at this point, right?
81. Empire came out the year before.
Yeah, Wild Time to Be Alive.
Immediately into Raiders.
Yeah.
Wild is right?
And I love how this movie starts out. like we're not going to go through the whole movie. We're just going to talk about our favorite parts. But I love how you don't see Indy for like a little bit,
Yeah,
and then it like reveals his face, and it's like I don't know. I just every time I watch it, I love that.
because he wasn't a character back then. Because Raiders of the Lost Ark was literally Raiders of the Lost Ark, the same way Star Wars used to be just Star Wars, and then it became A New Hope. They changed the title to Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark after the fact, and it's specifically a riff on like the old adventure serials, like Secret of the Incas. If you ever watch Secret of the Incas, literally the main character is Indiana Jones. He has the same bomber jacket, same hat, everything. But it's not called Dirk Doofus or whatever his name is, and the Secret of the Incas. It's just called Secret of the Incas. So it was just Raiders of the Lost Ark. Then when Indiana Jones became so unbelievably popular, they had to stamp his name on the franchise. But originally, he wasn't. He was just like the archetypal action hero of this action adventure homage that they were doing, which is kind of funny because at the same time he was supposed to be like a James Bond guy who they recast.
And there's like with all these movies, especially this one, the first three, I'll say, like in that time period, there's something like not nostalgic, but there's something.
They're 80s movies.
Well, no, I mean the
We're
time
suckers
period
for that stuff.
I mean the time period that they take place in.
Yeah,
like
30s.
that 30s jungle adventure. Like
They're
I don't know.
80s period piece movies.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what started that kind of thing. But something I always talk about with everyone is the Johnny Thunder Lego sets. Like the same thing. That was Lego Indie before they had the rights.
I found his hat. I put him on Boba Fett. I couldn't find the but
check out the Johnny Thunder Lego sets. And just like Matt said, they weren't called Johnny Thunder. They were called like Lego Adventures or Orient Adventures. Or I
didn't even know his name was Johnny Thunder. I named him Mississippi Mike when I was a kid.
Well, you weren't far off, I guess. But
that's good enough.
What is that like genre called of like those 1930s
adventure movies?
Jungle adventures?
Yeah, they're like
adventure.
Yeah, just adventure flicks.
Yeah,
like
and indie does it the best.
Well, yeah. Oh God, I did an indie marathon over the weekend. I think you guys knew that.
Yeah.
But I did an indie marathon, one a night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Rewatching Raiders, that movie is perfect for what it does. If it's trying to capture that 1930s action adventure flick nostalgia, it's got it down to a T. Perfect.
Yeah. It really is. I don't say many films are perfect, but like that one is. But for me at least, like
no, I'm with you on that.
Kind of like Back to the Future, getting off rails here, but that's a perfect movie.
Yep.
Like the sequels are also amazing to those Back to the Future 2 and 3. Yep. And then but like Raiders of the Lost Ark, perfect movie for what it has to do. And I think that's why it's my favorite one. The best watch through of the movie I had was 2020, like when the pandemic started. I watched a lot of the indie movies like over and over and over. Like they were just on TV, and I would just keep watching them because like it was a thing to help me make me feel better anyways. But like I had a viewing of Raiders and I hadn't watched it front to back.
You don't usually watch it back to front?
Yeah, usually watches it back.
Machete order.
Yeah.
I hadn't watched the thing to its entirety in like a while. And I just sat there and Jamie, I don't even know if you might have gone to bed or something. And I was just watching it. And it was like an amazing watch through. So like it shot back to the top for me. But yeah, I don't know. Like I love Marion in that movie. She's great in that one. She's in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as well. And she's probably going to be in Dial of Destiny as well. But I love when she holds up the thing, the medallion thing. She's like, "I'm your goddamn partner," and then it just transitions to the map.
That is good.
I don't know. It's just such a good. It is a 10 out of 10 for me. But what do you guys have to say about Raiders of the Lost Ark?
What do you got to say, Jamie? I feel like we talked over you.
I don't know. I love Raiders. I mean, like it goes without saying. Usually, like my favorite movies out of any sort of series are the first one. But Raiders also does like trade back and forth with Last Crusade for my favorite one as well. But I love Raiders so much. Because like you said, AJ, like it is like something that is just it does what it needs to do. But at the same time, this movie is so rewatchable. Like I will like literally just like, rewatch Raiders anytime. It's so good. And, like, You always find like something like random. The way that someone says like one line usually like throws you, and then it's like stuck in your head for like a week or so, and
Now
you
you're
just
getting
like
nasty.
Yeah.
you keep thinking about that thing over and over again. It doesn't matter what the situation is that you're experiencing, but you just think you're like, you know, what'd be a good response? Now you're getting nasty, and you're just like stuck in like that mindset.
For my
And-
for my group, it
but-
was the monkey doing the Nazi salute.
Yeah,
yeah.
these little like things in the background.
And Belloc eating the fly. That was the
I
thing.
know.
We had to watch
Yes.
that every single night before we watched the movie. It was, oh, can you show the guy eating the fly again? I said, okay, we got to
Yeah.
go back, watch that.
My other I think that like my for Raiders, my other just like favorite part of the movie in general is just Sala.
Yeah,
I
also
love
featuring Sala.
I love Sala so much. I love how every time he like appears as well, he makes his appearance, and I'm always just like, where's this dozen kids? Because like I don't even like know how many kids he actually has, but it's always Sala and his dozen kids. That's like always how it's I refer to
Probably
it.
has a dozen kids.
It probably is at least like a dozen, but I love everything about Sala. Like he's probably my favorite like indie character actually when I like think back
Oh,
on
yeah.
it more.
I absolutely love the scene where he just eats shit down the hill. When the Nazis find him and they're like leading him towards the car and they just shove him and he just
They shove him down the hill.
He just
and he's
goes
like,
down, he just
"Any of you guys
rolls.
want water?"
Oh my
It's like,
god.
anyone?
Just that's so funny. But yeah, it's just those little touches. Like when the all the sheets tied together drop down and then
Yeah.
Indy's like grabs it and he opens it up and it's the
I
flag.
was just
Oh.
thinking of that. It's
Yeah.
like the imagery of that's just so good.
That's
Yeah.
everything about it is just great. Now, fun fact. It's my third favorite of the original three.
That's
Yeah.
harsh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not surprising because we know you love Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade and Raiders go like they're hand in hand. Like Last Crusade is so fun. It's like talk about rewatchable. Like I laughed my ass off through that whole thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Pretty
I
much.
consistently will tell people it is the most fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
Last Crusade is the most fun you could possibly have watching a movie, I think. There's not a movie more fun to watch
Back to the
than
Future.
that. Back to the Future might be tied,
Maybe.
but I think Last Crusade has it beat. I
It
think
might,
Last
yeah.
Crusade's funnier.
The tapestries.
The tapestries.
But yeah, back to
We're
Raiders
not there
before we
yet.
move on.
We can't.
Just like the whole it might be my favorite music as well. The theme for the arc. Like that's besides the actual indie theme, that's like the theme I think of the most. And once again, we were just watching Crystal Skull, and when they open Area 51, the doors there and it shows the room. Like I don't remember back, but like the older people that were indie fans then must have been shitting their pants in the theaters. Like, whoa, it's the room, Top Men, the theme.
It's the Top Men.
It's the Top Men room.
Dude, when they play the arc theme, when they're talking about it, when they're in the
Spooky.
auditorium with the two,
I
with
love that scene.
Porkins and
Porkins.
the other guy,
Yes.
Porkins, and they're talking to them about like the legend of the ark and like all and you hear the music in the back, dude. It makes me like cry. It makes me like legitimately just so wrapped up.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
This is what I mean when it's like it makes wanting to be something like a historian or even a librarian just so interesting, because it's just like, oh, these people are coming to like Indy because he like knows so much about this like different thing, and he's just like info dumping to them like about like everything about like the Ark of the Covenant, and they're just like, okay, yeah, we know, okay, sure, but what about this? And he's like, oh, okay. It's just so intriguing to actually like watch, and like it's another just totally rewatchable moment.
Favorite line from the movie?
Favorite line? Bad dates.
Oh, you stole mine. Now I got to think of another one.
Like, are dates good? I think
They're
Probably
just
not.
big. They're big raisins.
I don't think I've eaten like a date on its own. For some reason, I picture them being good. Like they look like they're having a good time eating them, except the monkey.
They look like watery and like slick and slimy. I'm not.
I picture
guess
them being
that
like sweet. I don't know why.
They
They're
are.
probably very sweet. I mean, have you
They
ever had
eat
like a
'em.
fig Newton? Figs and dates are like in the same family.
Yeah.
I've had
Fig
an
Newton.
RX bar which has dates in it.
You've also had fig Newtons.
Yeah, but
which are
they're 8 Newtons.
little dates.
8 Newtons.
You ever had a date? You eat them.
There
That's my other favorite quote.
you go. That's your favorite quote.
Well, Jamie really likes Now You're Getting Nasty.
I like Now You're Getting Nasty, but
That's
we
another
also mentioned the who's working on it? We have Top Men. Top Men.
Top men. Oh, jeez.
Belloc.
What would be my favorite line? I asked the
We stole
question
all
and
yours.
Oh wait, no, that's later. I'm sorry. I just remembered a line from Last Crusades. Sorry.
Underrated character. Is it Tanega, the submarine guy? Not submarine.
yeah.
Pilot.
What's his
No,
name?
No,
that's
the
Jacques.
captain.
Doc
Captain.
is. Oh my God, what's his name? Is it Tanega? Might
I
be.
think so. Yeah, he's the captain of the ship that they
And he gets an Oscar
kind
for
of
his
stole
performance
on.
Absolutely,
in getting the Nazis out of there. What's his
dude. He
name?
nails it.
Boat Captain Indiana Jones. And I'm stalling so you can find your Katanga.
Katanga.
Simon Katanga. It might be
Of
Simone though.
course.
Yeah, Katanga. If Katanga isn't in Dial of Destiny, I write it.
That's it. You're right.
What are some other good quotes? I mean, it's not a quote, but I love that Indy just pulls out an RPG and points it at all of them later
Dude,
on.
that's my favorite quote. I'm gonna blow up the ark. That's my favorite quote, dude. Thank you.
That's like it's like Luke. I'm gonna burn it all down.
No, dude, it's so funny. First of all, that's right before the scene where Belloc eats the fly, so I had to watch it 4 times in a row. So it's ingrained in my head that's the line you start on. But dude, it's just so funny that Indy just shows up and he just like, I'm gonna blow up the ark. Like, that's it. It's so straightforward, so perfect. That's it. That's my favorite line. I'm gonna blow up the ark, Renee.
What a movie. I guess we can move on to Temple of Doom. I know Matt has a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can pull out a favorite quote from Temple of Doom.
Really?
No, Jamie and I we just rewatched most of it, and then we had to skim for time to do this recording. But I don't know. I really want to like Temple of Doom. I don't know why I don't like it that much. I love the beginning. It's kind of like Return of the Jedi for me. I love the beginning, I love the end, but the middle, it's kind of like a repulsive movie.
It's not as rewatchable, and I think for just like
it's not fun.
It's not comfort rewatchable.
It's depressing and sad.
There's a lot of screaming. There's a lot of bugs, and there's a lot of like dark and like
snakes,
things like
eating snakes and brains and bugs.
Watching Raiders and then Temple, this watch through for the first time, I get it. I get why Temple of Doom turns a lot of people off.
It's so different from the.
It is not very action adventure flick-y at all. Like you
it's
could
a very
watch
slow adventure.
You could watch something. You could watch Raiders in the 30s, and it would fit right in with the roster. You could not watch Temple of Doom in the 30s. People would be absolutely appalled.
Yeah.
It's the vibe is just totally off.
I'm glad you get it.
And like just really sinister, and I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Tell us. I mean, I know I've talked to you over the years of why you like it, but tell us on here.
I don't think
enlighten me.
There is a single moment, and this is wish fulfillment, and I rag on people for wish fulfillment, or like when you embody a character and you're like, yeah. I chastise people for that sometimes when I shouldn't, because there is not a single moment in cinema history I think more triumphant. When Indy goes down to the mines, beats the shit out of the slave guy, sends him 20 feet back, and then the camera just pans up. The music swells, and you see Indy just standing there, silhouetted, and all the kids start screaming and cheering, and he starts freeing child slaves.
The only issue, you got to get through 2 hours of depression to get to it.
Not even, dude. First of all, I love the tearing out the heart scene.
He loves the depression.
I love the depression. I like darkness, and something that Jamie pointed out when she was talking about Raiders, she tends to like the first movie in the series. I tend to like the second movie in the series the most. I don't know why. It just happens that I gravitate towards the second in the series. And it just so happens Temple of Doom is the second one. Even though it's a prequel, I really like this interpretation of Indy because I think they really did a good job of differentiating him from his persona in Raiders. They make this Indy's an asshole to start off. And you can see he's he shows up with the mummy or the remains of Nurhaci, and he's pawning it off to
Really
some
small
gangster.
guy.
Yeah, this Nurhaci's a real small guy.
You're gonna talk about Willie?
I will talk about Willie. I will get to Willie. But you see him just pawning off these like priceless artifacts to these Chinese gangsters who just like give him like diamonds and money, and he's in it for the money. And this is 1935. And
Fortune
I
and
think
glory.
that's really important. Exactly. Fortune and glory. And I think that is a really cool step on the journey to how he is in Raiders. You get that kind of like wavering kind of he's not as gruff by the end of Temple of Doom, and by the time Raiders rolls around, he's gained like a heart almost. The heart that the other guy lost. I will say, I don't know if the canon reset on the expanded adventures or not. I assume it does, just because that's how they did it with Star Wars. That's probably how Lucasfilm is doing it with Indy as well. So all these books are non-canon, whatever that means. Who cares? But I will say that a lot of these books take place before 1935, at least half of them, or actually probably 3/4 of them. The point is, they don't really do a good job of portraying that kind of gruff, in it for the money grave robber that Indy is in Temple of Doom. And I hope that gets rectified if we start getting new Indy stories. I hope they kind of keep to the path of like, because we last see Indy in like 27 in the last episode of Young Indiana Jones Adventures, I think. Whatever. But there's a gap. And, what happens to him to make him an asshole? What happens to make him, care about only money? I would love to see that explored more. Willie stinks. Short Round, though. Wow.
Short Round's amazing.
Short Round is so great.
My second favorite background secondary character.
He's my first.
Over Sala?
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Tough. It's fair, but tough.
I'm telling you, he sells the movie. Every single person I watch gets really friggin' uncomfortable while we watch the movie, but everybody eats Short Round up. He is just
that's where Jamie and I fall, I think, in that one. Short Round's amazing, but
Kwan is the man.
So what?
I love, just not to derail, but I love his continued excitement every time he sees Harrison Ford now as well, especially in the past year. I just love the continued excitement and the true friendship that they like still have so many years later.
I love Harrison Ford's excitement.
Harrison Ford legitimately seems to like him.
He doesn't get excited for anything.
Is a big deal, dude.
Yeah,
like a big deal.
Yeah.
Get the F out of my house. So, Matt, what did your friends think of Temple of Doom?
They liked it. They liked it. Nobody showed up for Raiders. Only one of my friends showed up for Raiders.
Why didn't they show up?
Because it was a Friday night and they all had plans and they were doing stuff. I don't know. But I got them all. We went axe throwing before Temple of Doom, so I had a captive audience where I was just like, okay, let's all go back to my house, watch Temple of Doom, and eat pizza. So that's what we did.
But you know what, though? It worked out in your favor because I feel like you mentioned it already, but I feel like it's really overlooked that Temple of Doom is a prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark. So in theory, they watched the first one.
There you go.
I pulled a quick one and played Raiders after Temple of Doom.
You're like, oh, what's this? It's playing anyway. Let's backtrack. I think that my favorite moment in Temple of Doom is the opening scene with Willie singing "Anything Goes" in Chinese.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that scene.
Except "Anything Goes" is in English.
I know.
Yeah. So something that always like fascinates me is like when they translate music in general. So that happens like a lot. But like going back to what I said at the beginning of this episode, I watched a lot of old movies, a lot of movie musicals, a lot of Broadway growing up, and so seeing Anything Goes get performed like that, and then suddenly it transforms into like a classic like golden era musical, like Busby Berkeley, like the framing and whatnot. I was like, whoa! And every time I still am obsessed like with that entire sequence because like it's beautiful. All the girls are fantastic dancing. There's tap dancing, which is like my favorite thing like in the world actually. Anything Goes is like a really good show, by the way, and like I love like that music for it. And it's not just because it's in Fallout. Like no, it's actually a really good show. But like that it's just so cool to like I love that scene, and it's so cool to see like a different interpretation of it. That being said, Willie, she screams a lot.
Yes, she does.
She screams a lot.
Fun fact, a couple of fun facts. One, do you know who one of those women who danced was?
Offhand, no.
AJ?
No.
Kathleen Kennedy.
I was gonna say, is Kathy
Really?
like in there? I think she is.
She was a tap dancer. She was like a
They
professional
do-
tap dancer, and
They
she
do
wanted
show
to
her
do it.
credit during that scene,
Yeah.
produced by Kathleen
She
Kennedy.
wanted
so
she wanted to
interesting.
be in that scene. So she's one of those women. I can't find
Nice.
her when I
Well,
watch.
Wow.
Well, yeah, because like the mystical bit of it is like they're all like blondes and like the wigs and whatnot. So you don't know, but
Yeah.
but if you like really
Second
close.
fun fact: when Willie hops up the step and she like almost falls, was not choreographed. That was real, and she was the dress was so tight on her that she like almost tore it when she did that. And she didn't want to do another take, so she just went along with it, and they loved it. But yeah, I'm not even kidding. The dance sequence, is that her?
Apparently.
All right.
Look that up so quickly.
All right, confirmed.
Confirmed.
I will say the dance number is probably my favorite part of the movie too, and I'm not even kidding, not even joking. Oh God, when one of my friends arrived late to Temple of Doom, so he walks in and I go, "Oh, good, you're here. I didn't want you to miss the dance number," and everybody laughed like I was joking, and then I put the movie on,
and it's the first thing you see,
and it's like 5 minutes long. It's longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah,
long dance sequence,
and then they play it again as they're fighting.
Yeah, and they do, and I love it. Every second of it sets the scene so perfectly for the movie. The whole intro might be one of my favorite intros in all of movies. I think
It's really good.
The Club Obi-Wan sequence that they referenced in Bad Batch, the car chase, like the whole thing, right up. Well, obviously I love the rest of the movie, but right up to when Indy goes, "Nice try, Lao Shay." Close the door and it's Lao Shay.
Peak comedy.
Yeah,
peak comedy is right. That might be my favorite line in the whole movie. That or
you missed out on a very important part. Dan Aykroyd.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna mention that later, but
we had Earl Weber.
Why is Dan Aykroyd in this movie?
My goodness, aren't you the famous singer Willie Scott?
Why is he doing a British accent?
I don't know. It's so good.
The man is Canadian. It doesn't make any sense why he's doing British accent.
Oh God.
Oh my God. The first time I remember I consciously watched a Temple of Doom. By consciously, I mean like sometime in high school when you could like remember things really well. I was really, really into the Blues Brothers and really, really into classic Saturday Night Live at that point in time. You know who's like there in both of those? Dan Aykroyd. So I was really, really thrown off that like he is in Temple of Doom at all, and like that scene, it just makes me laugh.
Yeah, that's
all the time.
Hilarious.
It's so random.
But
he's not credited either. He's just there.
Yeah. Right off the bat, you could tell this was going to be a dark ride because he throws a flaming skewer through like the dude, and oh my God, when he like and he like shoots the ground and you see his like face, it's like, oh my God, dude, it's
something.
That's intense. I love the gong, obviously cutting down the gong and running behind it, the balloons. Harrison. Okay, I'll say this. I told all of my friends, and I think it was the perfect thing to get them in the right mindset to watch Temple of Doom. I told them that this movie had huge divorce energy. And I think that is...
We researched this earlier.
Spot on. Because both Harrison Ford, yikes, both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were going through really tough divorces at the time. Steven Spielberg would then meet Kate Capshaw on set, who played Willie Scott, and then marry her. So happy ending for him, I guess. Because they're still together.
Really?
But yes.
Wow.
At the time, they were going through really bad divorces, which is why the movie is so fucking dark. But it's also why Willie stinks, and why Indy just decks a waitress at the beginning of the movie, just punches her out.
Yeah, and the girl with the cigarette tray.
Yeah, she comes up and he pops up and he's like, and he just punches her, and it's like, what are you doing? How could you put that in the movie? Were you guys crazy?
Is Willie like the only woman in this movie? Now that I think of it, basically,
Marion is the only woman in the first.
A lot of dudes.
And
lot of dudes.
Elsa is the only woman in the third movie. There's only one woman per movie until we get to the fourth, when they make the woman the villain.
Kind of the same with Star Wars. But
Yeah, well, yeah.
nice job, George.
I guess that divorce energy never changed.
No.
But yeah, I love the whole thing. Nocturnal activities. Another one of my favorite lines is when Indy's pushing on the statue's boobs, and Willie's like,
yeah.
"I'm right here." That's funny. That's funny as hell.
What a knee slapper.
Yep. Or when Indy's poking his face through the hole, and he's like, "We are going to die."
And there's bugs everywhere, and I have to fast forward it.
You don't like the bugs? I love the bugs.
I hate the bugs.
Yeah, no bugs.
The movie is repulsive.
Yeah, it is. And I will say this, because like, it has to be addressed if you're talking about Temple of Doom. It's pretty racially insensitive. It's pretty racist.
It's bad.
Pretty bad with that, with the
with a lot of
the whole cuisine
so it's
thing.
A very, very sexist and racist movie.
What does that say about me that I like it so much? It's bad. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But you like when Indy frees all the kids.
Oh my
so.
God, dude. That'll never not be just the music. First of all, the music, best music in the whole franchise for me as well. The Temple of Doom theme that John Williams writes for that movie might be my favorite John Williams piece of music of all time.
Wow.
More than anything he wrote for Star Wars. Yeah.
Better than the Ark theme?
Better than the Ark theme. Better than any of the themes.
The Ark theme brought you to tears, though.
Yep. Temple of Doom brings me, dude. That music overwhelms me. With how like pumped I get. Like I could listen to that before anything and just get super pumped for whatever I'm about to do. Like it's like a surge of energy I get from listening to the Temple theme. But that's enough about Temple because I'm gushing, and I'll just keep going. I will keep going. I've already dominated.
I have just one question about Temple of Doom. They give everyone nice clothes when it's the dinner scene, but they don't give short round shit.
No.
What's up with that?
All of the kid clothes were reserved for the Maharaja.
Good answer. All right. On to The Last Crusade. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Last Crusade a bit already, with it just being an absolute blast, but
I think that Last Crusade is the most rewatchable out of all of them. I like said that like earlier, but it is, even though it is the one with the most Nazis in it, it is the most rewatchable out of all of them.
Doesn't that make it better? Indy fights more Nazis. That's fun. That's good.
Punches him in the face. It's great. It's so good. Like this one is just like so rewatchable. And
oh man, we could do all day. This is the most quotable movie. Most quotable movie.
Probably, we have
Sean Connery as his dad.
Oh. Talk about divorce energy. That man is divorce energy in a man. I love Sean though.
One thing about HoloNet Marauders is like we all love James Bond, and we all love obviously classic Sean Connery James Bond as well. We love all the James Bonds, but
triple schematics.
But like,
if anybody hasn't played From Russia with Love for the PS2, play it.
They got old as balls. Sean Connery to record
lines back and do lines. It's so
in the young body.
It's pretty wild.
And he sounds old as shit, even though you're looking at like a young Sean Connery. It's great.
But anyway, The Last Crusade. Love this one. I love the going back to actually Indy being an archaeologist and being a historian. It's back to it with this one. Like to compare to like Temple of Doom kind of seems like he literally just had was working on like a whim, and he's like, oh yeah, I've heard of this thing, and then he happened to find the exact thing, and it was just like
see the college once. I love seeing him at the college.
Yeah, he doesn't be a professor. He doesn't have
one movie.
Yeah.
But I love how Last Crusade is a full return to formula in that aspect of things.
It's like it's 100% like it's the same movie as Raiders. If you actually
pretty much,
if you pay attention to it, it's the exact same movies as Raiders, except
Marion is Sean Connery.
Yeah, and Marion is Sean. You're right. It's Marion is Sean Connery instead of his wife. It's his dad. That's a good way to put it.
And then,
how the hell did Ilsa try to pretend like she was listening to music and didn't hear her room get ransacked?
Yeah.
How could you possibly get away with that?
Especially back
Indy,
back
how dumb
then,
are you?
we're playing a record. It's not like she had like headphones on or anything.
Yeah,
It was
right.
Must have been like her ink in it too.
Good. That was good.
I don't
That
know
was a-
any old timey.
No, dude, that was a great
German
representation
songs.
of music. You nailed it. You nailed it. That's what music sounds like. You're right.
With I could just like it's like the cartoons with the records playing and like the little what do you call like the old like megaphone on the old record player?
Oh my God. What
That thing's
is it
just
Gramophone?
pulsing like
phonograph. Phonograph.
yeah, there we go. But yeah, Indy should have known right there, right
Yep.
then and there. Isn't he in like his bathrobe too? Like silk
Yeah.
bathrobe. He's like, hey, what's going on here?
Hey. Dude, when they first meet, first of all, we have to talk about the flashback. But I just wanna
Taffin?
say-
Oh, okay.
yeah, sure, Taffin. Yeah,
She's in Taffin.
Yeah.
Oh
You're
my
right.
She's
God.
Guys,
She's Charlotte.
to tie this right back to James Bond again, Taffin starring Pierce Brosnan. If you haven't watched
Irish
that,
indie
Don't.
movie.
watch it before you play From Russia with Love, because it'll take you less time. Great.
So
movie.
I wonder if she's been in a movie also with like Daniel Craig and Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton.
We're gonna have to
Okay,
connect some dots later.
we'll
We'll
have to
look into
look
this.
into that
We'll get
later.
back to you guys.
When they're flirting, it's so awkward and so bad. When
And then she's like,
"Oh."
I was also with your father.
And he's like,
Dude, when he plucks the flower and he's like, may you permit me? And she's like, I usually don't. And he's like, but I love you. And she's like, oh, okay. It's like, barf. And then Marcus is just like,
Marcus is gold in this movie.
dude, Brody,
English? Does anybody speak English?
does anybody speak English?
What does he say? He's like,
The woman offers him water and he goes, oh, no water. Fish make love in it. Dude, how do you write that? How do you even think of that? Fish, no water for me. Fish make love in it. That's funny, dude. This movie's so
Spielberg and
funny.
George came up with that like in some 50s diner. Yucking it
Legit,
up.
dude. Not even kidding. That's probably the best joke in the movie for me. I think. Like hell you will.
There's a better joke, but we made it ourselves and it won't make sense to other people. Later on when they're when they're trying to give the guy all the royalty, all like the gold and everything.
Oh,
And he wants the what is it? Is it a Mercedes or
they're trying to like bribe him.
Rolls
They're
Royce.
trying to like effectively bribe the guy so that they can travel through the Holy Lands, right?
So
Yeah.
fun fact, last time we watched this movie, all three of us together, at least like so most of it, that scene was on where all the Nazis and what's his face are trying to pay off
Bribe the guy, yeah.
bribe the guy, and he doesn't take the gold. He wants the car, the Rolls Royce. Keys are in the ignition, Your Highness. Matt and I went to 7-Eleven after that, and I accidentally left my keys in the ignition in the car, which I've never done in my whole life. And then I get back in, I was like, Matt, I left the keys in the car. What the hell? In the ignition. And he just goes, keys are in ignition, Your Highness. Like, how did that happen?
Dude, it was the universe just
Keys
set us
are
up,
in the
dude,
ignition.
for a slam dunk.
They just knew.
But that kind of energy is Last Crusade. Like it's
Absolutely.
that kind of it's right up our alley.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole I could just talk about this movie just doing the quotes. Like
Literally.
Nazis hate these guys.
Hate these guys. Or, okay, the better version, where in Staff of Kings he can't call them Nazis because it was made in like 2011 when all the strict no Nazi and video game things was happening. So he just calls them Germans. And at one point he's like, Germans, I hate these guys. And it doesn't work because and he just hates all German people? Jesus.
When Crystal Skull starts, he goes Russians. And like you think he's gonna say the same thing, but he doesn't.
Russians.
But yeah, I mean, we haven't really talked about the plot of Last Crusade.
I want to talk about the flashback. I love the flashback. Or the,
Oh yeah.
Indie prequel, basically, where
The
he
very
gets out
beginning.
all of this stuff. Basically the solo for Indiana Jones, where he gets his whip and his scar and his hatred for snakes and his hat and his love of adventure. There he is. That's Indiana Jones. And
he knows how to count in Greek.
And he knows how to count to 20 in Greek, although he doesn't get very far. But I love that is like basically not like a backdoor pilot, but kind of a backdoor pilot for the show, which we aren't really going to get into too much here. But if you have Disney Plus, which if you're listening, you probably do, but if
Terrible audio mix on Disney Plus. I want to
Terrible
complain.
audio
Disney,
mix.
if you're listening, please fix it. I grew out a cable where it sounded good on for some reason, and it doesn't sound good off my Xbox. So
Are
please
you
and thank
talking
you.
about the show or the movies?
Everything
On Disney Plus.
I'm with you on Temple of Doom. I had trouble where I had to turn it up for the
Well,
dialogue and then turn it down for the
it's just the
action.
dialogue.
Oh my God.
The effects and the music totally fine. The dialogue is just down quiet.
Yeah, so I had to keep cranking it up and then turning it down when something loud was happening. I was like, oh.
Pain in the balls. But anyways.
Pain in the balls. But anyway, if you have Disney Plus, it's all on Disney Plus. The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Starring Sean Patrick Flannery.
Sean Patrick Flannery
of the Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints fame.
Yeah.
It's actually called the Young Indiana Jones Adventures because George Lucas couldn't leave them alone. He went back. He re-edited all the 45-minute episodes into 1.5-hour movies. So there's now like 13 hour-and-a-half long films starring Sean Patrick Flannery in half of them as a young Indiana Jones. We'll talk about it later, but he mentions that he ran off with Pancho Villa in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when he's talking to Mutt. That happens in the show. He goes off and fights in World War I. He becomes a spy. He loses his virginity to Mata Hari, who is an incredibly famous model and one of like the first iconic sex symbols. So of course, yeah, it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. Great show. Skip the ones where he's a kid, like a little kid. Unless you want to watch his dad in action, because they're fun.
Matt, you'd be appalled at the things Matt skips in Clone Wars. But just watch.
Guys,
just watch.
We're not getting into that.
Trust me. Skip the kid ones. If you're going to watch the kid ones, only watch the scenes where his dad and mom are in, because those are great. You actually get to know his mom.
Just watch it all. Watch it all. You got time.
There's 6-hour-and-a-half long movies starring a 9-year-old Indiana Jones bumbling around an Egyptian tomb, dude.
Just watch.
Okay, fine. Watch them all.
It adds
or
to
just skip to my summer break adventure, I think it's called, or my spring break adventure.
Or watch it all.
The one with Sean Patrick Flannery, the first one. Anyway.
So Last Crusade.
Last Crusade.
The Grail.
Dude,
yeah.
Wisely.
I love that sequence.
All right, Matt. Jamie and I laugh at you, but you have to bring up your take about stupid.
It's not
taking down the dragon.
It's true. It's true. Indiana Jones throughout the film acts like a knight. So the ironic part is that at the end, when the knight looks at him, he's like, "You're dressed strangely for a knight." It's ironic because he is like the modern archetypal hero who is on a quest for the Grail. His dad is the damsel. He rescues the damsel from a castle.
His dad is Marion.
Instead of Marion, the damsel is his dad. He goes on a quest to find the Grail. His dad is trapped in the tank. And what does Sala call the tank? He says, your dad is in the belly of the beast, the steel beast, because it's the modern dragon, breathes fire, all that jazz. Just takes it down. The whole 9 yards. It's a knight's quest, but as an adventure serial set in 1938. So it's
Where did you discover this?
I think somebody mentioned something about the tank being like a dragon. And
you didn't think of it yourself?
No, this is a thing people talk about. It's a very popular like thematic discussion around Last Crusade.
Let me tell you one thing about me and Indiana Jones. We go way back. No, these movies, like you can get me with the themes in Star Wars a bit. I mean, me and the themes, but like those stick out a bit more to me in Star Wars. That's it. Star Wars is like a lot of mythology and it's big fairy tale as it is anyways. But Indiana Jones, I am Chuck Rock caveman watching these movies. I just want to have a fun time and watch Indy bumble around.
It's fine.
I feel like that's what most people go to Indiana Jones for. They don't go for the themes necessarily, but
that is a theme in Last Crusade. He's basically the modern knight, and that's it's all wrapped up when he actually meets the original knight. So I think that's really cool. I like that. I like that take. I like that idea.
It's not a bad take.
I like how they actually used the city of Petra as well. Like for where the Holy Grail was. I thought that
Oh
was like
yeah,
a cool thing they actually like filmed there.
yeah, which is
That's
incredible. God, the amount of they must have been through like so many different checks and like background checks and like don't touch this, don't touch that.
just to
It must
be
have been
outside.
so
Yeah.
hard filming there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
That must
that
have been
one scene where they're leaving the temple, and like the everything collapses behind them, and there's like a puff of smoke that like blows out of the actual like Petra ruins.
Hmm.
It's like, holy crap!
Yep.
They actually put like some kind of pyrotechnics or like
Just go.
like I'm honestly like convinced that it was just a bunch of people with like chalk going.
Yeah,
Like,
just going.
just like
It was
blowing
George
it
and
out
Steven doing it
with, like, a fan.
themselves.
Yeah, like because there's no way they would have been able to do like pyrotechnics or
No,
anything
no
like
way.
that. So it had to be the most crude method possible. when they do that.
Jehovah starts with an I.
Yeah.
I love. Oh man, again,
J.
I love
Totally
I love that entire segment like bit as well because like he's reading it out of the journal because like he doesn't know but his dad has it like memorized and he's
I
just
love the
sitting there
journal.
like dying and like
alphabet.
but he knows all of it.
The
How did he
journal looks
know-
so good.
Oh,
Like, it
yeah.
looks like you get a good whiff of that thing.
Indy's a good, and it's got a very famous signature in it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Not for
That's
good
another.
reasons.
That's another like top scene in that movie. I love that so much.
Top scene.
Top scene.
It really
All
is.
of them are top. Oh,
What
another Knight's thing. He jousts on the motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
He does, yeah.
I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you.
It's not that I don't believe you. It's just, we always make
Yeah,
fun of you.
We're
for
just like it's not that deep, but okay.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I love when he goes, "Do you believe, Marcus?" And then he looks at the Grail picture on the wall and the music, the Grail theme, like just it's like, wow, dude.
Brings a
and
tear
you-
to your eye.
Dude, I have to say, for a Jewish man, Steven Spielberg made the best Christian movie of all time. And I give him all the credit in the world for that because it's like, wow,
All right,
dude.
fun fact. So I pointed out to you that government guy is Porkins in
Yeah.
Raiders, right?
Yeah.
So another one, since Indy's coming out, these kind of things have been coming up. So who is in Star Wars and Empire? Who is the guy that Piet takes over for?
That's
not
Veers.
The guy that does get killed.
I'm reading the comics right now, and he's front and center. Fuck.
You know who I'm talking about, though.
Yes. And
He plays Hitler
Ozil.
in
Admiral
in
Ozil.
Last Crusade,
That makes perfect sense.
right?
Yeah, I can
These are
totally see
crazy.
that. They're the same. That's the same face. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's perfect. Admiral Ozil. That's his
Yep,
name.
there it is. But yeah, Last Crusade. Probably also, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't have that film feel, the film feel of Raiders, but like
No.
it's just as fun and maybe more rewatchable.
Because
So.
nobody in the 30s was making serial adventure films where the main character went on an adventure with their dad. That just wasn't the thing you did. So that's an indie creation. But
Favorite
I love.
quote?
There's too many.
We already
I'm
said
just
all
a-
the good
I'm
ones.
just a
I think we've already said.
I was the next man. No ticket. I find that if I sit down,
You've chosen
the solution-
wisely.
the solution presents itself. And Indiana is just tumbling down the stairs. Dad, he's like falling down. Dad, he's falling down the stairs.
Son, I'm sorry. They got us.
What about the boat?
Follow us. What about the boat?
What
We're
about
not
the
taking
boat? They should have. Okay. Most
They
frustrating
should've,
part
you're
of that movie, if they waited 2 more minutes, 2 more seconds in that box with the motorcycle, they would have gotten away with it.
Yep. If it weren't
Yep.
for that meddling timing,
I know.
maybe his dad was getting itchy, or
Indy had the trigger finger for the motorcycle.
That's it. He wanted to ride. He just wanted to get out of there. Love. Can't get enough of the sign that said that in the middle of the German countryside that says Berlin, Venice.
Yeah,
Okay,
like-
all right, sure.
Yeah, that
I
might
guess.
really be there.
Of
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
places.
Or have been there, I should say.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
speaking of motorcycles, we'll move on to another movie with the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Indiana
So
Jones and the Kingdom of the
Kingdom of the
Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull.
2008. 19 years later.
19 years later.
I actually
awful
think that's like one of my favorite scenes is when
The prairie
Mutt
dogs.
rides the motorcycle down the train platform.
I do
And
love that.
the only reason why actually that is my favorite scene is because I have been to that filming location
Ah,
many a time as a
there you go.
child.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah,
Jealous.
so like they filmed that in Essex, Connecticut, where there is a classic steam train still in operation. And they do trips up and down the Connecticut River. And the train station looks exactly like that, like in real life. And so like seeing that like on film, I was just like, oh my god, what's going on here? It was just very, very, very cool to see. So it's another callback to like I love like this movie because it has like those connections like of home in a weird way. Um, but yeah, I like trains.
Yeah.
I
And I
just love
love
Butt on his motorcycle. Hey, old man. He's just what?
I love Mutt.
I
What?
love
I
Kingdom of the
love
Crystal
Mutt.
Skull.
And
Like
I love Kingdom of the Crystal Skull too.
it really
I'm with you.
baffles me. And Matt, you're online about this stuff more than I am, but it really baffles me that people don't like it. Like I kind of compare it.
Unfortunately, it has not been salvaged like the prequels in terms of
I know. I
like
think of
just
it like the
weird
prequels.
general consensus or like attitude online. The prequels are now beloved, but unfortunately, Kingdom has not reached that status yet.
No, I haven't noticed it. I mean, in public, if Indiana Jones or Star Wars happens to come up, people do, kind of say the whole thing about yeah, oh yeah, 3 Indiana Jones movies. So
Yeah, the one with
that's
the
the dig at that.
fridge.
Which the fridge scene is awesome. That's
The
the
fridge
last time
scene
we
is
watched
awesome.
before we walked in here. So
It is incredibly ridiculous.
oh,
The
I
fact
was
that he
gonna
gets
say
blasted in a in a refrigerator at the speed of a friggin' bullet.
I
I
almost
mean,
said to
like
Jamie.
they make a point of saying it's lead lined, and then that's it.
Yep.
Sayonara.
I literally was gonna say to Jamie, but I didn't say it. I was like, that's so amazing and stupid at the same time. Like
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
what that scene is.
it is.
Yeah.
It's
But
it's incredibly amazing, incredibly
but
stupid.
it's like
But sure.
that's what Indiana Jones like should be.
We
Like
just talked about a sign in the middle of the German countryside that said "This way to Venice." We're not looking for realism in these movies.
in the first movie, they treated it like a film mostly. There's some
Mostly.
silly stuff. Temple of Doom still kind of on that level, and it was very dark and a little more serious with some things. Last Crusade, they just went wild with it, and then
Yeah,
King of the Crystal Skull, like they were old and they were like, let's just have a blast with this one.
let's just do it.
But like, I don't. What do people not like about it really? Like, I don't pay attention to the
I
commentary.
think it's the aliens.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
That's
it
think
it.
gets
people don't think
supernatural, and
aliens
it's like,
belong in
cool.
Indiana Jones. I don't know
You want
why.
you want to hear how dumb I am, Matt, sometimes? So I knew we were just watching this, and I was like, I have to bring this up because I'm dumb. Uh, when they take the magnetic box out and whatever, they open it up.
In the very
And,
beginning of the movie.
yeah, at the beginning of the movie in the Area 51 Top Men building.
Yeah.
They open the coffin, as we find out it is, and there's like a mummified alien.
Hmm.
Because I always knew there was like an alien in there because they pull like his hand out and everything, but I thought it was more of like a ceremonial thing that the crystal skull was in there. I didn't know that the alien skull was, or these aliens have crystal skulls.
Oh, okay. Until just now.
Yep, until like an hour and 2 hours
Oh,
ago.
wow. Wow,
You know what I
that's a
mean?
good
Like
one.
I
He
thought that
just
was just
learned
like
of the crystal skeletons of these
I
aliens.
didn't know that the aliens in that universe, their skulls are made of crystal, not bone.
So you thought when they put the crystal skull back on the crystal skeletons, that was just a ceremonial thing that wasn't
I
the
thought it was
literal
just all
skeleton?
ornamental.
Oh, no, that's the
I don't know
literal
why.
skeletons of the creatures, of the aliens. The
And
No,
this
I-
is why there's conflict about this movie online.
Well,
So
look, when I was a
wait.
kid in 2008, I had no friggin' idea what the hell was going on in that scene. I'll be
Well, me
honest.
neither,
I didn't
but,
know
like,
it was an alien. I didn't know it was reference to Roswell or anything like that.
I didn't
Yeah.
either at the time. I was like, wait, there's aliens, and they show like a UFO back in 2008.
Of course,
But
now I do. But
when they show like the bones later, when they put the thing on, the bones aren't made of crystal, are they?
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they are.
all
Full
crystal.
skeleton.
Well, pretty valuable skeleton.
I mean, kind of. It's like this weird magnetic crystal that doesn't exist on Earth. So I guess that's valuable to whoever wants a weird magnet crystal.
We just have bones for bone.
I know we do.
Calcium.
have-
What are bones made out of?
Calcium and junk.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And like at what Avatar, they made out of like carbon fiber or something.
I have no idea.
I'm just
what
like-
the Navi's bones are made of.
That's
Would
one
you
thing I
call
remember
it?
from Avatar.
Another
My
movie from like
I
2008.
got out of the I saw it in 2008, never saw it again. I know the
Haven't seen
sequel
it
came out,
since.
made a lot of money.
I,
Um,
I love Avatar, but I won't
but
get
I
into
remember
that.
getting out of the theater and like my friend's dad picked us up for Avatar, not Indiana Jones. Um, and he was like, "Oh, how was the movie? Oh, good." And he's like, "Dad, you would have liked it. The Avatar's bones are made out of carbon fiber." I remember
What the
that.
hell? Oh, that's
Yeah,
great. I
I
love
don't
that.
know. That's why I remember that. So, valuable bones.
Valuable
So,
bones.
King of the Crystal Skull, I love it.
Yep.
I guess people don't like it because the alien thing, but that doesn't make sense to me. Like,
I don't really think it's that big a deal. I think it works.
yeah,
For the fact that in the 30s you had these adventure serials where you were going to, Maya temples and all these different jungle locations and all that. And then in the 50s you had sci-fi movies with aliens and, wild, kooky, crazy, creatures.
yeah,
So why not combine the two? It's such an incredibly clever idea, in my opinion, to take the sci-fi alien, movies of the 50s and combine them with the adventure serials of the 30s and have it be, wow, the crystal skulls are actually alien skulls. Okay, it flirts with the whole ancient aliens thing.
A little.
A little. It is ancient aliens. I
yeah.
mean, there's no question
But
about
like,
that.
why is that where
Yeah.
everyone jumps off?
Draws the line. I don't
I
know.
mean, I think it's because like in general, like it's like a very split. People are very split on like, is this
So
actually a thing versus like this
we're
isn't actually a thing. So like
we're
I think
allowed to
that's why
have
it's so like divisive.
like drinking the blood and Temple of Doom like brainwashes you and all that shit going on and the stones, and we're allowed to have the Ark of the Covenant melting people's faces off and the ghosts flying around, but we can't have aliens. Like,
All religions are true, and also there's aliens, and that's where we draw the line. There's aliens.
and the Holy Grail, like you turn into a ghost immediately when you drink out of the wrong one, but we can't
And
have
then
aliens.
there's been a knight sitting in a cave for 700 years. It's all fantastical. And
Yeah.
again, if you're going to do fantastical in the 50s, you have to do something with aliens because there were no adventure films in the 50s. So what are you going to riff off of? What are you going to explore? The new movie, 69, Operation Paperclip. That's an incredibly clever idea, right? It's perfect for the time period it's set in. The 50s, I think aliens are the perfect time period to set that in.
With the Cold War as like the backdrop. I
And
mean,
the Cold War and communists.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
Russians are going after an alien crystal skull to mind control Americans. Perfect.
I think it's genius.
Wonderful.
Like, I really don't get it.
Brilliant. No notes. No, I love it.
Um,
I will say the reason it's probably the weakest one in my
The
opinion,
monkeys.
the CG. Just in general, the effects are not as good as
That's just that time period, though. People got a little.
it is,
Yeah.
sadly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies with just really poorly aged CG. You can do CG really well. Jurassic Park looks a little aged nowadays, but really not that bad. And that was 93.
I
So
mean,
now we're going to 2008. The CG just does not look
'cause,
good.
like,
Except the ants. The ants look good.
2008 is like the cusp of modern CG becoming like really crisp, and so it's like the end of like bad CG. So like it's at that point where it's in between.
well, yeah,
And
and
and I don't want to be a hater on CG. That was a big thing in the prequels. Was everybody was complaining about the CG in that movie.
a lot of it
I
looks
usually
bad.
like CG. It
It doesn't mean I don't like the movies. It's just
no.
you can notice the CG doesn't look great. Like
It's just one thing
Geonosis
that takes me
Kenobi.
out of it. Geonosis Kenobi. Oh,
What is he calling with R4?
All the old folks home, and there's like the worst blue screen behind him I've ever seen in my entire life. Love that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But the thing I love most about this movie is that it is a reverse of the previous film. Indiana Jones is now the dad going on an adventure with his son. And I think
Yeah.
that is incredibly funny, an incredibly clever idea. Like this,
Who's
that's
the
perfect.
damsel here?
Mutt.
No, it would be what's his name?
Oh, the guy who can't talk.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oxley. Ox.
Ox, yeah, Ox.
Ox,
I love
man.
Ox.
Good old
I love
Ox and Mac.
Dude, Ox and Mac,
Old friends.
classic indie characters. Our old
Can't forget
friends,
them.
love Mac, love Ox. Just
And
yeah.
I think maybe that's one thing people didn't like about it is that they brought in these new characters that were Indy's old buddies, but we didn't have like Sala or
From, like, the
Short
Ward
Round.
days.
Like,
Mm.
I don't know, bring those
But-
guys back.
I do like Harold Oxley is a cool character because he's kind of like this trio of like there was like
He's like Lor Santeca.
I guess, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
it was
know.
Indy, Marion, and then Ox.
Yeah, but like Ox is like part of the previous generation. He's like he worked with Abner Ravenwood, and
Yeah.
Abner Ravenwood worked with Henry Jones Sr. and Henry Jones Sr. worked with Marcus Brody. So he's kind of like the last of like the old guard. Oh yeah, something from Last Crusade I love is when they do the little
The handshake.
the handshake.
I don't know. I don't remember what it is. But
Yeah.
There's one word I'm not drumming up right now that I always say, but I can't think of it right now. But I love that kind of like the old guard. He's the last of the old guard. First of all, I absolutely love that he shaves his beard and like cleans up his hair. And none of my friends knew who he was at the end of the movie
At
when they
the
showed him
end?
at the wedding.
Who's
They were like,
that
"Do we
guy?
know that guy? Are we supposed to know that guy?" And I'm like, "That's Oxley." And they're like, "Oh, he cleans
It's
up
like
well."
it's like the end of like Endgame when the kid from Iron Man 3 shows up.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Who the hell? But no, I love that. I love Mutt. I think he was a great addition
I love Mutt.
to the next generation. I don't see why everybody dislikes him.
Me neither.
Even when we were going into the movie, everybody was making fun of Shia LaBeouf. We watched the Shia LaBeouf performance, the musical performance. You ever see that? Of course.
Just do it. Oh wait, no.
No.
We watched
Sorry,
that too, but the Shia LaBeouf musical,
Yes, I've seen
Yeah.
it.
we watched that before the movie as well.
To my knowledge, I don't know like much about Shia LaBeouf off the screen. I know he got a little nuts there, and
Yeah.
it became a big meme. But like, I love Shia LaBeouf movies.
Everybody after the movie was telling me, actually, he was really good in the movie. I said, yeah, he is. I don't get why
he was
got
a
lot
good
of crap.
young actor. He was. I mean, it wasn't great, but like he was good. He was fine.
He was great. No,
he always kind of played like the same role. I mean,
yeah,
he's great in Holes. Stanley Yelnats, he's great.
Oh,
He's great in The Greatest Game. It's a golf
Spotted
movie.
Lizards. Yep, Shia LaBeouf was great in that. I think that Holes is probably the first place I saw him, and where I really
Holes is a big one.
Yeah.
And then
in love with him as an actor.
Oh, he's in
His
Transformers.
Transformers movies.
That one wasn't bad. I'm not a big Transformers guy, but that was pretty good.
Transformers 1. I don't really remember the other ones.
Me neither.
If I'm being honest.
No.
That's one thing I don't know anything about is Transformers.
Wow, we got you. We found
Yeah,
you.
no, I have no clue.
We got one. But yeah, Crystal Skull. I love Mutt. I don't understand. I mean, we never understand the hate with a lot of these movies, like in different Star Wars.
That's
and
okay. There's no
Indy
need for us to understand it because we enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, true, but I always want to like understand so I can like help them. Let me help you. But I don't know. Maybe it's not worth my time. But Crystal Skull's a little wild at the end with Kate Blanchett. I need to know.
I know. And
that's Matt with everything.
Yeah,
her character's also just like super interesting. Like I like her, but like this is she's just interesting. This is just an interesting character.
I fell in love with her, Kate Blanchett, through this movie.
Really? Of all the ones, it was this one?
Irina Spalko did something to me as a kid. I don't know what it was, but she did something.
I want to know. I need to know.
Holy moly. I was just researching and I never realized this, but Satipo in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the guy that betrays Indy in the temple.
Oh, Alfred Molina, Doc Ock.
Yeah, I didn't know that was Alfred Molina.
I forgot to mention that they covered Doc Ock and spiders, and I love that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Alfred Molina.
That's wild. Because I just saw his picture here, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Anyways, continue. I don't know where we were.
I love the diner scene.
That's really good.
That poor guy sitting next to Mutt gets a comb in his coke, then gets decked in the face. Boy, that poor guy didn't do nothing to nobody.
Comb in the coke.
I love, and then the greasers and the preps. They just they're on different sides, and then get that guy, and then somebody like hits the jukebox, and the music starts playing, and it's just like a wild diner brawl. Oh, I love that opening too.
And then the full chase across like the quad, and then it goes into the library, and then the one kid like asking a question, and he's like,
"You want to be a good archaeologist? Get out of the library."
That's the line in the movie. That's my favorite line in the movie, probably. Like, not even we've said funny lines, but that's a great line.
Yep.
But yeah, so like we know your favorite is Temple of Doom, Matt. Right? All in all, I'll say Raiders is my favorite. Let's be real. And then Jamie was Last Crusade your favorite. Crystal Skull.
I like Crystal Skull.
No, I
Crystal
love
Skull
it.
is
It's probably my third.
it's there. Third favorite. Wow, you like it more than Temple of Doom?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
way more
It's
rewatchable.
It's fine. It's fine.
I base my favorites on rewatchability, I guess, but
I
I
got
don't know.
the scene where he's connecting with the skull.
Oh yeah, and hey, all I can think of is Indy looked old in this movie, and this was 15 years ago. So
Oh my god.
buckle in for Dial of Destiny, which obviously I should have mentioned at the beginning, but obviously we're doing this Indy special because Dial of Destiny is coming out or out if you're listening to this now, and
If you're listening
we're all
to
very
this at
excited.
another time. Oh wait, are we releasing? No, it comes out next weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Ignore it. Move past it.
You're fiddling with the Dial of Destiny right there.
That's what what am I doing, dude?
So what was I gonna ask? I was gonna ask what do we think is gonna happen in Dial of Destiny, but I can't really ask that because Matt is dumb and looks up things.
Well, that, and I kind of had to because for a time I was a moderator of the Indiana Jones Leaks subreddit.
Right.
So it wasn't a case of I decided that I didn't really care if I got spoiled or not, so I just kind of like,
wow, never heard that one.
Yeah, right.
So
I know the whole movie.
One thing I am interested in, and this doesn't have to do with the plot or anything at all, and I don't know anything, so there's no spoilers here, don't worry. But with each of these movies being a Paramount movie, it goes from the Paramount logo to a mountain. Very, very indie thing. It's like the gun barrel of indie from James Bond.
There you go.
But there's no Paramount with this one, so I'm wondering what they're gonna do to open up the movie there. My one thought was like, will they use like the Disney castle and then go to like a mountain or something?
That would be kind of cool.
And I thought they were clever with Crystal Skull, where they went from the mountain to the molehill there.
Yeah, the prairie
make
dog
a mountain
hill.
out of a molehill.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So, yeah, do you know anything about that, Matt, or can you not say?
I do.
You do know? So you'll tell us off the air.
I'll tell
or maybe
you
you won't
air.
tell us at all, so we won't say anything.
Well, we'll find out.
Going by your quietness, I was like,
I didn't.
I don't know what the quietness
You're
means.
not getting anything out of me.
I mean, this movie has already premiered out in
it can.
People have seen it, so
Can.
well,
and the premiere
in
France?
LA, the real.
Well,
premiere.
it showed at the Cannes Film Festival, and that was like 2 months ago. So the whole plot synopsis has been online for months. Don't go look it up. Just watch the movie.
So, very excited. We didn't get to talk about the games.
No.
The new game, I'm excited about it. Takes place in 1937, so we get a chance to explore Indy post Raiders, but before
Bethesda.
Last Crusade. By Bethesda.
Yeah, super excited for it.
Xbox exclusive, whatever.
Yeah, the news came out today. It's going to be an Xbox exclusive game, but it is Bethesda Game Studios and Machine Games. So they're the ones that made the new Wolfenstein games recently. So
Ooh, right.
It's going to be exciting.
I love the Wolfenstein games.
Yeah.
So, wow, that'll be fun.
Hey. I hope he says that. I hope he says, hey.
Hey. All right. Well, quick video game thing. My favorite video game for indie is gotta be it's Fate of Atlantis, but Infernal Machine is right behind it, and it's great because it's the same voice actor who does indie in both. And I think Hapgood, Sophia Hapgood.
Oh yeah, Sophia Hapgood is in both.
Yeah.
Infernal Machine is kind of a sequel to Fate of Atlantis, and then there's also there's a comic that's a sequel to Infernal Machine. If you want to look that up, anybody who's interested in that, in the Sophia Hapgood trilogy, I guess. I would say Emperor's Tomb is my favorite because you meet Wuhan, and I like Wuhan. R.I.P. Wuhan, my boy, the waiter at the beginning.
Right. We were watching that earlier, and I was like, oh, Matt told me this guy's in another video game, and I can't remember which one.
You meet him in Emperor's Tomb, but then you also meet him in Indiana Jones and the Dinosaur Eggs. So it's a little bit of a continuity
that one.
mess up. Yeah, the Dinosaur Eggs, that's the one where he goes to the Gobi Desert and he finds triceratopses, like living dinosaurs. He's like, whoa, it's crazy. Good
I bet
times.
no one had a problem with that one, I bet.
Nobody had a problem with that one. That's pretty wild.
But aliens. Matt, final question. because you're the indie buff of all of us. But what? How does Short Round know indie?
He says it in the movie. Indy
I know
caught him pickpocketing him.
And then he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna teach you a lesson. I'm gonna
Well, he
bring you.
realized he
You're
didn't
gonna
have
drive
any-
my car."
Yeah. Well, he realized he didn't have any because his parents were killed in the bombing of Shanghai in like 1934.
Oh, yeah, they mentioned that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And he caught Short Round picking his pocket. And he decided to take him on his adventures because he needed a father figure. Fun fact, there is a non-canon comic where Short Round picks up where Indiana Jones left off and discovers the Millennium Falcon crashed on
Yeah.
Earth, and that Chewbacca is actually Sasquatch.
That is like
living on Earth.
that is so genius. Like I love that.
That is pretty insane. The only time, and I'm not even kidding, none of these books, none of these comics, nothing, no Short Round material. That's the only thing we've gotten. And now, Ke Huy Quan, everywhere. Top guy, top man.
And it doesn't seem like he's gonna be in Dial of Destiny.
Top
I'm happy we're getting
Not in
Sala.
Dial of Destiny, but
You
yeah,
spoiled
they're
it.
bringing back. We already know that because
Hey, he was at the red
there's, like,
carpet premiere.
articles. No, there's articles already out there that say he's not in it. Like, and
I
he's
really
said
wish-
that in interviews.
I really wish they brought him back for it, but
I agree, but I think this is a really good opportunity to do something with Short Round in the 70s doing his thing. Would love to see it. He carried
That is
on.
just hilarious. But
He carried on Indiana Jones's thing, and he
hasn't seen him in 20 years, but
Yeah.
carries it on.
carries on. He became an archaeologist, just like Indy, because I think the explanation for why he's not in Last Crusade is because he sent him off to school. So he learned archaeology, and he's off doing his own thing. And
His real son.
fun fact, I think there's like an encyclopedia or something that states that Short Round in the 50s was hunting for the Peacock's Eye, which was the diamond at the beginning of Temple of Doom. So would be, yeah, that Kathleen Kennedy, the real diamond at the beginning of
Yeah.
Temple of Doom. But that would be a cool story to have for like a movie or a show or whatever they're going to do, if a special. Ke Huy Quan plays an adult Short Round who goes out and finds the Peacock's Eye.
And there you have
get
it.
on it. Lucasfilm, if you're listening, and I know you are, you'll this is it. I'm giving this to you for free. Take it. Just
Make another click and point adventure game.
Do it. Yes,
How about
make
that?
another
Yes.
click and point adventure game.
All right. Anywho.
Yeah.
This has been our Indiana Jones special.
Oh,
Jamie,
Yes,
kick us off.
this has been our Indiana Jones special. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. You've been listening to the audio version of this. We also have a video version on YouTube. If you've been watching on YouTube, you can take us to go in your favorite audio platform. You can find the HoloNet Marauders everywhere at HoloNet Marauders. On Twitter, it is just at HoloNet Marauder. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time on the HoloNet Marauders podcast.
time